Hello, hello, hello. My name is Steven, and this is the Weekly Cut, where I stay up to date on movie news so you don't have to. I just want to start off the show by saying thank you for listening. Now let's jump into it with the box office. So Coco came in at number 1 with $50 million on its opening weekend, and Justice League came in at number 2 with $41 million in its second weekend, and that's a 56% drop from last weekend, when it made $93 million. It's just really disappointing. Justice League should have made north of $120 million in its opening weekend with all the stars it has in it and with all the notable characters and recognizable characters it has in it. So like, for example, its opening weekend, the Avengers made $207 million, and then its second weekend it made $103 million. But its opening weekend, Justice League, didn't even make over $100 million. And in its second weekend, the Avengers made $103 million. And that had a 50% drop compared to Justice League, which I said had a 56% drop. And then let's keep comparing. Age of Ultron, Avengers Age of Ultron made $191 million its opening weekend, and then $77 million its second weekend. But Justice League really did like these kind of numbers, the Doctor Strange kind of numbers, like its opening weekend, Doctor Strange, a year ago when it came out in November, a very similar release date to Justice League, made $85 million. And then its second weekend, it came in at number 1 again, at $42.9 million, and it had a 49% drop. So it's really disappointing that Justice League is having the same kind of numbers as a movie like Doctor Strange, where no one really knew the character. And Benedict Cumberbatch is a recognizable name, but he's not what really sold the movie. And like I said, Doctor Strange isn't really a recognizable name, but Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, The Flash, they are. So I'm just gotta keep saying this. Justice League is really off to a disappointing start at the box office, sadly, because I really liked the movie, but obviously it's not gonna make anywhere near as much money as it should. And I'm going to say that's probably because of the bad critic reviews and the DCEU's past, with bad reviewed movies and just bad movies in general, like Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman. And they've only had really one hit, which was Wonder Woman. Now let's move on. Let's talk about Coco's box office. So it opened last weekend, but with the Thanksgiving 5-day weekend and all that stuff, it made $72 million. But its 2-day total was $50 million. That's pretty similar to what the rest of Pixar's movies make. Like the Good Dinosaur made, on its opening weekend, it made $39 million. And came in at number 2. And let's see, Brave came in at number 1 on its opening weekend with $66 million. And Up came in at number 1 its opening weekend with $68 million. So Coco's, if anything, it's overperforming with Thanksgiving weekend and everything added to it. But from what I hear, it's really good, from all my friends, and the critics online, they all say that it's really good and you'll cry and such. So I might have to check that out. Now, a movie that I did get to check out Thanksgiving weekend, over Thanksgiving break, was Lady Bird. And that has become the best reviewed movie on Rotten Tomatoes at 169 fresh reviews and none rotten, which makes it obviously 100%. I would say definitely go see this if it's near you. I know it's not wide release. It's very limited right now. But hopefully, if it gets some Oscar and Golden Globe nominations, then it can go more wide. Hopefully, A24 plans that out. I saw that over break, and then I also saw A24's The Florida Project. And if that's anywhere near you, you should definitely go see that. That's another A24 movie. That's really, really good. It's filmed like a documentary kinda, but it is a fictional narrative, and it's very, very good. So go check out those if they're around you. So in a new article from Vanity Fair, the plot details have been revealed for Quentin Tarantino's much anticipated next movie, which is the working title is Number 9. And it takes place in the summer of 1969 in Los Angeles and follows a male TV actor who's had one hit series and is looking for a way to get into the film business. His sidekick, who is also his stunt double, is looking for the same thing. And Vanity Fair notes that the murder of Sharon Tate at the hands of the Manson family serves as a backdrop to the main story. And this is really important because there was talks about a month or two ago about how this whole movie was evolving around the Manson family murders, and how Margot Robbie was going to be playing Sharon Tate and Brad Pitt might be playing Charles Manson. Obviously, were just rumors, and that just serves as a backdrop to the main story. And filming is set to begin on that movie in June 2018 for 2019 release. That has yet to be determined. The budget is something that's very that is intriguing me because I know The Hateful Eight had a budget of $44 million, and then Inglourious Bastards had a budget of $70 million. And I think the only movie, I'm double checking here. Yeah, the only movie that Tarantino has made that's such a big budget is Django. That Django had a budget of $100 million as well. And then that did really well at the box office, worldwide at least. So I think this sounds like a very good kind of movie for Quentin Tarantino to do. I'm very glad that he's not touching on the Manson family murders because his style doesn't really lend itself to tell a nonfiction story. It's fine if that's going to be used as a backdrop, but as long as it doesn't like glorify or have any of the cartoonish action or violence of in the movie depicting the Manson family murders, which is what I was worried about. I was worried that it would come off as disrespectful with Quentin Tarantino style depicting those murders. So I'm glad he's not doing that. The plot sounds really interesting so far, and I'm looking forward to it, honestly. Okay, so moving on from Quentin Tarantino back to Justice League. There's been lots of drama revolving around Justice League in the past week. So on social media, there has been Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder, who have both basically directed Justice League. They have both liked social media posts that snipe each other's work. So like there's this tweet that I saw that says Justice League's Steppenwolf is the worst comic book villain of all time. And Joss Whedon liked that tweet, which is kind of crazy. And then a fan posted a link to a petition for a to see. A fan posted a link to the petition for Zack Snyder to have a cut of his movie released on Blu-ray, and Zack Snyder liked that, and it has come out that Zack Snyder hasn't actually touched the movie since March, but I'll talk about that more later. And if you've seen Justice League, this isn't a spoiler, but if you've seen Justice League, you've seen that scene that's taking place underwater, where two characters are talking, and there's like a air bubble that surrounds them so that they can talk. And this really took me out of the movie. I thought, if they live underwater, why do they need air to breathe? That doesn't make any sense. But James Wan has tweeted out, he says, "Fret not, there are no air bubbles for dialogue in my underwater world." So in Aquaman, we won't have any of those air bubbles, so people can talk, which is good, because that really didn't really make sense to me, like I said. So that's really good that we won't see any of that in Aquaman. There's also drama surrounding the costume designs of the Amazonians in Justice League compared to in Wonder Woman. This first surfaced online on the 12th, when there was a side-by-side of the costume design from Wonder Woman that was designed by a woman, and then from Justice League that is designed by a man. And if you look at the picture, which is in the show notes and in the description of the video, you'll see that obviously it looks really bad, because the design from the Amazonians, the women, from in Justice League, looks more sexualized because their stomachs are exposed, and they obviously don't have as much armor. But the costume designer defended his design and said, quote, "For the majority of the screen time in Justice League, the Amazons appear in 2017, 100 years ago after the events of Wonder Woman. We wanted to show the passage of time by showing a slight development in their armor, so some of the lines and details are different." I mean, I think it's not really that big of a deal. What he says makes sense. So I think people should kind of let it go. But I see what people are talking about. But like I said, his comments make sense for the story. It's 100 years in the future compared to in Wonder Woman. So they've adapted. So there's a fan petition online calling for a Zack Snyder director's ultimate cut of Justice League that has no scenes directed by Joss Whedon in it and not touched or cut by the studio. But one of the VFX artists online says that doesn't exist. He says that of course there was an assembly cut that Zack had going before he left, but that was 9 months ago. He says, quote, "He himself had said he hasn't touched or interfered or been a part of the process since March. There is no cut." So, end quote. The petition has reached 147,000 signatures and aims to reach 150,000. I personally would love to see this cut, but obviously it doesn't exist, according to this VFX artist, who is obviously the closest thing we have to the movie, someone coming out and saying that. So speaking of people who are close to the project or worked on the project talking about there being alternate cuts, one of the stunt coordinators on the movie has shared the petition, and he added a comment to his post on Facebook And a part of it says that he has nothing against Joss Whedon at all, and he thinks he's a great director, and he's very easy to work with, and he likes Danny Elfman's score. He agrees with the cause, but not everything that the petition writer wrote. He says that when BVS Ultimate Cut got released, that was the director's cut, and that is what should have gotten released. And Zack Snyder's son says that he enjoyed the movie, although it is, quote, although it is clearly not what it could have been due to the meddling of Warner Brothers and the forced comedy. The runtime was my biggest gripe with the movie, with events that should take place over long periods of time in a flash, but still definitely a fun movie to watch and would recommend it, unquote. So lots of people close to the movie have problems with it. Zack Snyder's son, the stunt coordinator, wants to see an extended cut, but the VFX artist says that there's not going to be. So one of the stars from the opening scene said, "I love Joss Whedon. My scene with Batman was originally conceived as a comedic scene. That's how Joss wrote it, and that's how we shot it. I thought it came out great, but the studio felt it would be a mistake to open the film with a completely comedic scene, so it was re-edited a little bit." So lots of studio meddling with Justice League. Joss Whedon couldn't even make his opening scene the way he wanted it to. It had to be cut down to be more serious. Obviously, it was mandated, like I talked about, it was mandated to be less than 2 hours. That's why it's an hour and 59 minutes. So there's just a lot of drama surrounding the movie. And now it comes out that Warner Brothers offered to CGI Henry Cavill's mustache for Mission Impossible 6. I mean, so this is, I think I've talked about this on the show, but I'm not sure. In the movie, you can kind of tell at some parts, if you're looking for it, you can definitely tell that there are parts where Henry Cavill had a mustache and had to get it CGI'd out. So I'm going to go into a quick backstory with this. So Henry Cavill was shooting on Paramount's Mission Impossible 6, and his character has a mustache for that movie, and Justice League needed to do reshoots and obviously needed Henry Cavill to do those reshoots. Paramount would not allow Henry Cavill to shave his mustache for those reshoots, because then he would have to have worn a fake mustache for his movie for Mission Impossible 6. And Paramount would not let him shave the mustache, and so Warner Brothers had to CGI Henry Cavill's mustache out of Justice League. And you can tell where those reshoots are done if you look hard enough to see where you can to look hard enough at Henry Cavill's upper lip. So now it says that Warner Brothers offered to CGI Henry Cavill's mustache for Mission Impossible 6, which is crazy. I mean, this movie has so much drama surrounding it, and it's so disappointing that it's not even worth it ultimately, because it's not going to make that much money domestically. In an article from IndieWire, it says that Justice League would need to gross $750 million just to break even. The tentpole stands to lose $100 million at the box office, and it could lose anywhere from $50 to $100 million for Warner Brothers. So it's just pretty crazy, all the stuff that's surrounding Justice League. But with all of that Justice League drama out of the way, some other news has come out in the DCEU that there is an incarnation of Batman in the the first standalone movie for the Flash that's titled Flashpoint. And there's no talk yet of who is playing Batman in that movie, because Batman himself, Ben Affleck, has said that he's looking for a, quote, cool way to segue out of the role so someone else can play him, because he's not really into it anymore. And like I talked about on last week's show, Jake Gyllenhaal has been looked at to play to play Batman. So yeah, there's and then obviously in Flashpoint, in the comic books, there's this thing that happens where it's an alternate universe and Bruce Wayne dies outside of the theater as a kid instead of his parents. So Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne live, and then Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. And if that was to happen in the DCEU, that means Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who plays Negan and who played the comedian in The Watchmen, which was directed by Zack Snyder, that means in Flashpoint he would be playing Batman. And as I talked about 2 weeks ago, he has said that he hasn't had any talks with Warner Brothers about playing Batman, which obviously could be a lie, but, we don't know. The Avengers Infinity War trailer is slated to come out on Thursday. The Russo brothers posted a number 3 on their Instagram today, which means that it's coming out in 3 days, which is Thursday. Some people thought, my friend Justin thought that meant 3 hours, and that it was coming out in 3 hours from when he showed it to me and when they had posted it, but obviously that's not the case because it's not out right now. And also multiple Vanity Fair covers with various MCU characters posing together has come out. Gambit has got a production start date that's very interesting. This movie is shaping up to be on my radar pretty high, with the director Gore Verbinski, whose last movie was A Cure for Wellness, which came out this year. I really liked, and then it has Channing Tatum in it, who is very good, and then there's also another person that got cast in it, or is actually in talks, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So this movie is shaping up to be pretty cool. So I'm going to be continuing to look into this and obviously report on this. The production start date is this February, and then it has a tentative release date of Valentine's Day 2019. So The Last Jedi is tracking to make $200 million its opening weekend. That's pretty cool for Star Wars, I guess. I mean, it's not like Disney really needs any more money, but and then Jude Law got cast as Brie Larson's mentor in Captain Marvel. And then this, which I was talking about a couple seconds ago, Lizzie Kaplan from The Interview and Cloverfield is in talks to play the female lead opposite of Channing Tatum in Gambit. So I think I'm not sure how this movie is going to be going with its tone. It might be kind of comedic, but Tatum and Kaplan can obviously do comedy, but they can both do drama. And then the director, Gore Verbinski, can do drama as well. So I'm not sure if he's going to be trying to do more of a comedy or drama. But we'll see. Some other news. Murder on the Orient Express is going to be getting a sequel written by Michael Green, who wrote the first one and also co-wrote Logan and Alien Covenant, and Blade Runner 2049. That's going to be based off the book Death on the Nile, which has already been turned into a movie. Let's see what else. So, following sexual assault allegations, or harassment allegations from John Lasseter, the head of Pixar, he has stepped down, and there is talks about Pete Docter, the director of Monsters Inc. and Inside Out, becoming the new head of Pixar, which I think would be a good switch up for it, considering that from what I've listened to, I've seen lots of interviews with Pete Docter, and I've read a lot about him, and obviously I've heard his Oscar speech when he won for Inside Out. He seems like a really good guy, and I think this could be very good for Pixar to go into a new direction with some new leadership, hopefully under a better person. Speaking of things that are kind of animated, a trailer for Smallfoot came out, and Smallfoot looks like it's going to be a clever spin on something that we all know. The trailer is a Yeti telling other Yetis a story about the legend of Smallfoot, which is the human species. And then a 6-second trailer for a 6-second teaser, a teaser for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom came out, and it just shows Chris Pratt petting Chris Pratt's character petting a dinosaur, a really small dinosaur. And I think that's really, it's actually kind of cute. It's like the dinosaur is purring like it's a cat, which is pretty cool. And it actually looks real. It looks like it's practical and not like CGI. So I think you should definitely check that out. You should check out the trailer for Smallfoot. I didn't really dig the trailer for A Wrinkle in Time, but then a teaser for Incredibles 2 came out, and that comes out in the summer of next year. It's not really a teaser. It's not really a teaser trailer. It's just a teaser. It just shows Jack, the baby from the first one, displaying his powers around his dad, and his dad being really wowed by it. But that's it. That's the end of the show. I hope that you'll join me here on Friday. This Friday, this is being recorded on a Monday, which is late. I know. I'm sorry. But this Friday should be on schedule and on time on Friday. Should be posted on Friday. You can find all the topics that I talked about today on my website, cuttoblackfilm.com. The link directly to the show notes will be in the description. And as always, if you want to talk, then you can follow me on Twitter at cuttoblackfilm. Thank you so much for listening. It really means a lot. Please like this video and share it on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or something. Tell people that you think would be interested in it. Tell people that you think are cinephiles and love movies and watch a lot of movies. Tell them about the show. Tell them to listen. Give me a try. Please subscribe. Bye until next week. Thank you.